All right, so Tuesday we had the big sell-off, and for the past 2 days the markets have been rather quiet. So, is it a temporary lull or a brewing storm here? Tomorrow, the big jobs report will be released, and today we had two more releases of smaller jobs report, and interesting how the markets are reacting to this. We also have big news from Tesla. So, as you can see, we have lots to talk about. So let's dive right in. And with that said, welcome to Coffee with Markus and Mark. And today is Thursday, September 5th. And in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And looking at the S&P, we see that, Mark, on Tuesday, we had the drop. And then if we go to a 5-minute chart, yesterday, not much going on. I mean, at first, markets were moving higher, then moving lower, moving a little bit higher into the close. So, what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's just a lot of indecision here ahead of the jobs report. And we know that last month, that jobs report just kind of turned things upside down. And so this is a significant one. We're getting some data jobs wise that is mixed too. That's not helping the case.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this. I mean, going to the economic calendar here on PowerX Optimizer, we see that this week, first of all, yesterday, Joel's jobs opening, we briefly talked about this, but coming in much lower than expected. Should have been a warning signal for the markets, but the markets decided to, okay, first move a little bit higher, a little bit lower. We have just seen it on the 5-minute chart. So today, more jobs report coming out before the big one tomorrow. And we did have the ADP non-farm employment change.
Yeah, and this is where it came out worse than expected. There were 99,000 workers added last month, but this was a lot lower than the 144,000 estimate, lower than the previous month as well.
Right. And this is where we see tomorrow we have the non farm employment change. And we see that these numbers are very similar, right? So we have 111,000 in the previous month, 114. So the main difference is this is released from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this from ADP, one of the largest or the largest payroll processors in the country. We also see that for tomorrow, an increase is expected. So the question is, what will happen? So at first, when we saw this, the markets reacted negatively to this. But then kind of bouncing right back because, as you said, we had some mixed data. So a few minutes later, just 15 minutes later, we had the unemployment claims being released. And this actually looked pretty decent.
And this is where it's hard to figure out where we go from here without the report on Friday because the shorter term data is unemployment claims. So this is more recent. This was better than expected and lower than last week. The ADP private payrolls number that reflects a month of data. So it's a little bit dated, but also there isn't a perfect correlation between private payrolls and then Friday's number. Sometimes you could have a miss in one and then a big increase in the other, or vice versa. So it just shows that traders are still on the fence, trying to figure out what's going on and waiting for tomorrow, I think.
Right. And the big deal is will we have an economic slowdown that could get us into a recession or not? Final services
Exactly.
PMI released today, coming in slightly better than expected. The ISM services PMI also better than expected, indicating okay, the economy is still strong. Anything above 50 means expansion and not contraction. And we also see that the revised unit labor cost came in much lower than expected, which again is good for inflation. Long story short, we just have a lot going on in the markets here right now. And let's see how the markets are digesting it.
And so
Let's
far,
go to a 5-minute chart of the S&P 500 and see what's happening there. And we see
uh,
a bit all over the place.
yeah, rallying early on and then another attempt to make session highs, but selling off right now, trading near session lows. Dow also lower, Marcus. The Nasdaq sitting on some small gains. It does look like after a 2 day slide, there is some interest in the bigger names, the Magnificent Seven, versus some of the other uh, stocks in those indices.
Yeah, let me just refresh my heat map here because I want to look at the heat map and we see, yes, after the sell off, Nvidia higher today, Apple higher again, Google higher today. But I think the big one is Tesla up
Yeah.
5% today. That's a big move.
Yeah, and I mean, part of this could have been a buy the dip type situation, but there was also an announcement that they are going to roll out their full self driving uh, programs in Europe and China at the beginning of 2025.
Right. So there is, of course, I believe that Tesla will be the first company to roll out the full self-driving. I mean, of course, we have Waymo that already does the completely autonomous driving, but I mean, here for private drivers, this will be a first, and that's where we see some excitement here in Tesla and the whole tech sector. And even though we're pulling back a little bit here on the 5 minute chart, we see still up 5%.
Yeah, good day for Tesla, and getting back up to highs that we had back in late July.
Yeah. Looking at the S&P 500 right now, finding support at the 50-day moving average. And we've been talking about it all week. It all boils down to what's happening tomorrow and the jobs report. Last week, this jobs report came in much worse than expected, sending the market into a tailspin. This is what happened here as we were moving lower. So the question is, will we see a repeat of this tomorrow where we might be able to test the lows or at least drop down to 5,200? Or is tomorrow up, up, and away? One thing is for certain, we have the next Fed meeting coming up in only 13 days, less than 2 weeks. And traders say, yes, the Fed will lower interest rates. And the question right now is by how much?
Exactly. And so we have the focus this week on jobs, but that also really translates into what will the Fed do, right? Do we have a quarter point or a half point on, on deck for the Fed meeting in September, just 2 weeks from now? But also, what do they expect moving forward? I think that any comments on how quickly they're going to cut rates is going to be significant. And this is where traders are concerned about jobs being weaker because of the economy being weaker. Maybe the Fed wore out their welcome keeping rates high for so long.
Yeah, and you remember in the beginning of the year when everybody talked about three possible rate cuts by the end of the year, and then everybody said, "Nah, it's not going to happen." And now we see, okay, definitely one coming in September. Right now, traders are factoring in that there will be another one in November and yet another one in December. So, three cuts for this year, definitely back on the table.
Do you think they'll do a quarter point or half point in September?
Quarter point.
Yeah.
I think, and honestly, I think if they would do a half point, that it would not help the markets. I think if they did a half point, markets would plummet because that would basically send a signal to the market. Yeah, guys, you were right with your concerns. We overdid it, and now we have to quickly dial it back. But honestly, everything hinges on the jobs report tomorrow because Powell has been saying, all right, you know what? We're paying a little bit more attention to the jobs market here because inflation right now, we believe that we got it under control. And we just want to make sure that we are also focusing on our second part of the dual mandate of providing high employment. And I think this is why tomorrow's jobs report will really set the tone for what's happening in 2 weeks from now.
Agreed.
All right. Well, one thing that we need to look at is the uninversion of the yield curve. The yield curve that was inverted for 25 months in a row. And right now, today, another uninversion again.
What do you see the 2 year lower than the 10 year?
The 2 year, yes, it's at. Oh no, I think this is only updated on a daily basis. Honestly, the yield curve here on TradingView. That's probably because you
Okay,
see it's not ticking right now. I do believe that
sure.
from yesterday. So yesterday, yeah, and right now being back to inverted, so hovering just right around the zero. And again, tomorrow everything is going to change.
It's Yeah, and so we're right there. We're right there. And I wasn't trying to ruin your story, Marcus, but I'm seeing the 2 year at 3.781, the 10 year at 3.768. So it's going back and forth. But yeah, I mean that was a long time to be inverted, and maybe the uninversion is a big positive
Yeah.
with things getting back to normal.
Let's see. Let's start taking a look at our positions and see what's happening there. And first of all, we did have a WTF trade that occurred yesterday. Both you and I decided to skip it. Right now, it is just around the entry point. So yesterday, the entry at 177.68. Right now, 176. And the reason why we skipped it because we do have the warning sign here that the symbol has been trading for less than 5 years. Therefore, we felt that we didn't have enough data, but I think it's a really good signal here.
Yeah, I like. Maybe it's an OBE open below entry to consider, uh,
Yeah,
but there could be some opportunities tomorrow or on Monday if there's a negative reaction to that jobs report.
we shall see. So, looking at our positions here, CSIQ made a nice move this morning and now slightly pulling back. But still up 0.4% for the day, even though the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the Dow has turned negative. So I'll take it. Seems that we have found some support here. Halliburton. Halliburton.
Halliburton. Oh
Gosh,
gosh, this
moving lower
guy.
today again.
Yeah, it's a nice start, and I mean we went ex dividend yesterday, but right now looking at a 3 day slide for Halliburton.
Yeah. Time to come back. Right now, trading below our break even, below our cost basis. So definitely need a recovery here. And it's because of crude oil. Crude oil is trading below 70. So we haven't seen this in 9 months. So we're trading at lows that we haven't seen in 9 months. And that's what we're seeing here with Halliburton as well. And you also have BP and a very similar picture here for BP.
Yep. So Uh, not, I mean, we're still up in BP for the day, but definitely pulling back with that crude oil drop.
Yeah. Coles, on the other hand, I mean, having another great day today. Right now, slightly down, but was higher this morning. I already sold calls against my position at 2150 yesterday. I think yesterday I got 84% annualized. So we talked about it. I did it right before we came on here. And I was able to do the exact same thing today on Merck because look at Merck up 2.8%. So right now trading at 119, I got assigned at 120. So this morning I was able to sell calls against half of my position. And if you look at the calculator, this is where we see right here, I was able to sell calls for next week, September 13th, for $1.20, giving me 40% annualized.
Yeah, I mean that's just a real nice move there. Great to see you selling calls, and what a reversal off of those lows that we saw early August. So nice job.
Yeah, and we were just talking about it yesterday, right? Where Mark yesterday moving lower, kind of against the grain, and then today just this massive move higher. I'll take it.
Yeah,
UPS, our
absolutely.
little buddy, was trading higher this morning, was trading higher yesterday, pulling back and just can't break out of this range just yet. So we have the range between 130 and 124 right now, trading in the middle of the range again, right here at around 128, just pulling back right now to 127.37. But yeah, super interesting. Come on, little buddy. Start moving higher. It's about time. You've been in this range for a while.
Yeah, it looked so promising yesterday. Just up. over 1%, getting up towards that upper range. Come on,
Yeah.
UPS. Now we are going to see a dividend in our account payment date today of $1.63. So another dividend for us with UPS, and one of the consolation prizes for being in this one for a little bit.
Yeah. So payment date today, and this will lower our break even, which is right now my break even at 134.90 by another $1.63. I'll take this. So we're moving lower and lower as we are in this trade for longer, and this is why we are looking here for stocks that are paying a dividend.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
All right. Now, before we go back and look at where the markets are right now, because during the show they have been selling off, so have they found a bottom, or are they still sliding ahead of tomorrow's meeting? It is the time of the day for our dad jokes. All right. So, Mark and I just talked about it before the show that I had a chance to test some of my dad jokes on my kids. And when you know that your kids are rolling their eyes and say, "Dad, please stop," you know that you found a bad one. So I'm ready
Yes.
for one today. What do you got, Mark?
Well, I do have a question, and this might come as a little surprise. Is it easy to bring up the image that I just sent you? If not, it's okay.
No, it's not. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll have it ready for
So
tomorrow.
maybe we'll save that one for tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So you know that I took a little time off, went on a trip, went on vacation, and on the way back, my luggage was torn to pieces. So I contacted my lawyer and asked if I could sue the airline, and he said, "You don't have much of a case."
True. True. All right. I have a quick one for you today. What do you call a sheep that can sing and dance?
What?
Lady Baba.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, all right, all right, all right. I roll. Okay, leave us in the comment
Cheers.
who won
Cheers,
today.
that
And here's where we stand right now. So as you can see, the VIX moving lower, and so are the markets. Right now, the S&P 500 trading at session lows, the Dow trading at session lows, the Nasdaq pulling back, still holding on to gains. The Russell just pulling up a little bit from the lows, and we see the VIX, the fear index, moving higher, and everybody is waiting for what's happening tomorrow when the jobs report is being released. So you want to make sure that you don't want to miss this. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, give us a like. We appreciate the likes. After the show, leave a comment of who told the better dad joke. And if you find that this was information worth sharing, there's a share button right underneath. Just push the share button. Say this 10 times fast. And you see that you can share it on a variety of platforms and with your friends. And with that said, we'll see you again tomorrow, a show that you don't want to miss.
Happy trading, everybody.